Okay. Let's get to Patrick Beverley, who thinks that Julius Randle would be a good fit with the Sacramento Kings. Here he is.
What is going on with Julius Randle and the Knicks?
Yeah, I don't know. It's tough, man. You sign all those guys at that position, his size, his type of players. I mean, the writing's on the wall. When the Clippers got James Harden, I knew Paul George would be out of there. I mean, 1 + 1 is 2.
Like, they're not selling his jersey in the store anymore. And
take it right out, didn't they?
And it's like, well, he's still on the team. He still has minutes. He was like the face of their franchise for a while.
In their defense, though, they had success, a lot of success without him. Probably the most success the Knicks done had since Julius Randle been on the team. You know, I like to look at both sides. Like, damn, like, you feel me? Just a year ago, my jerseys were everywhere. But also just a year ago, we were struggling to even get in the playoffs. But it ain't personal, though. It's never personal. It's always business.
I think he's taking it personal.
But you can't. You can't take it personal, not in the NBA. You can't take anything in the NBA personal.
Is there anywhere that you think that Julius Randle could wind up?
I'd like to see him Sacramento Kings.
Oh, that would be nice.
That'd be nice. Him and Sac, that'd be different.
But I'm thinking Sacramento.
Would that be nice, Chris Watkins?
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice.
I'm really not a Julius Randle guy at all. Like, I just am not. He's really talented for sure. Like, he's definitely a back to the basket, score first kind of forward. And I just don't think he really solves any of the problems the Kings have. It's obviously a great talent. But we also have to deal with the problem of, you know, how do you get him? How do you acquire Julius Randle? Because he makes probably, if I had to guess, around the $30 million mark, if not more. You know, and the Kings don't really have easy contracts to compile that to make $30 million. We know, of course, because Kevin Huerter makes 15. I don't really know how you're going to come up with the other matching salary and still have it make sense for both teams. And yeah, you know, Julius, he can definitely add again to the overall talent. Maybe it makes the Kings a little bit more of a lock to make the second round of the playoffs. But ultimately, we're talking about a guy who is a score first player, and especially come playoff time, it's just terrible. I mean, you look at his playoff numbers; he's shooting under 40% from the field. He's under 30% from three in the playoffs. Averaging, like, his averages go down about 6 points per game once he does reach the playoffs. It's just not somebody that I personally would want to take a bet on that you're actually getting the best out of him if you trade for a guy like that.
Yeah, it's funny because at that 6'8", he is, and I know we use this term a lot, but again, he is a tweener. You know what I mean? And just because he's the same size as this guy that I'm about to say, maybe it would work, maybe it wouldn't. I'm looking here, Chris, and it's $28.9 million. So you were pretty much spot on with how much he makes. I mean, I'm looking. The thing is, the Kings, they have their second option, right? I mean, they have multiple now. They have De'Aaron Fox, they have DeMar DeRozan, they have Malik Monk, and, you know, you can throw Sabonis in there as well. We know he's a pass first guy. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised at $28.9 million. They're not going to do it, and the reason I brought up his size is because it might feel redundant with Draymond Green, but I would think about the Warriors. I mean, they do need a second option that you can really count on. And I think that makes more sense. Now, I think at that point, if you're going to give the keys to Kuminga, right? And now we have some news on Kuminga during our top stories at the top of the hour. They don't want to give him a max, but that doesn't mean they want to move on from him. But if you are going to give the keys to Kuminga, then you can move on from Andrew Wiggins. So Kuminga takes the Wiggins role, and you slot in Julius Randle, and he's that scoring pop for you. Sure. And you throw somebody else in there, make the money work. I think that makes more sense to me. Just for fun, I do have it up, Chris. And like I said, you're talking about $28.9 million. So sure, there goes Kevin Huerter. And then besides that, you go Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles. Yeah. Okay. And right now you're at 24 versus 28. I don't know. That might be a work. It's a success.
Yeah. I think you might have trade exceptions. I can make
exactly. So right now, and if you're a Kings fan listening, we want to hear from you. 916-339-1140. Would you do this? You could do this straight up.
But
now,
the Knicks aren't. I don't think the Knicks are even smelling that. They're think Trey Lyles and Kevin Huerter.
You throw in a second. The Knicks, you're going to take shooting because I don't know if I trust DiVincenzo. Moving forward, and Trey Lyles, you know, he didn't go to Villanova, but I mean he is a body. So what? Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, and a second for Julius. They got to move on from Julius Randle as well.
I would just hope, if I'm the Knicks, I would hope that I can get more than that.
Right. But he's stuck there now,
Yeah.
and you're going to roll into season just like Brandon Ingram. Whose situation do you think is more dire to move off of, Chris? Brandon Ingram with the Pelicans or Julius Randle with the Knicks?
Probably Brandon Ingram with the Pelicans, just because we know that contract is up and they have no intention of bringing him back. And I don't think he wants to be back in New Orleans. I think I don't know how many more years Randle has on his contract, but you could probably still make it work with him. He's just got to be able to fit a little bit more into understanding this is now Jalen Brunson's team, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. That's the only thing that's going to be difficult with that. And that's also kind of tying into that's a little bit of the Julius Randle problem is we talk about Dion having main character syndrome. He also definitely thinks he needs to be the best player on your team. And I don't know how emotionally he would deal with I'm the third, fourth option on these guys.
Right. Well, he's going to have to deal with that really regardless of wherever he goes.
Golden State's a great shout because there he feel like I'm in a big market. Hey, I am the second scorer on this team or whatever. I think that's a really good shout because you could also probably you were mentioning Andrew Wiggins. You could probably just throw Wiggins for Randle.
It's pretty much, that's pretty much the deal. Yeah, but Kevin Huerter, Trey Lyles, if the Knicks would be interested in that, I'm not even quite sure that they would be. And Julius Randle, like you said, basically has been in big markets, LA, New York. I don't know how happy he would be in Sacramento. Yeah. Number one, from a fit standpoint. Number two, from a just a living standpoint. He feels like a big city guy. He feels like he wants to be in the bright lights. And I think, I'd probably agree with you. I wanted to disagree with you when you said Brandon Ingram over Julius Randle. I think the difference is they know it's not working in New Orleans, right? Mm-hmm. Julius Randle, they don't know that it doesn't work yet because what they did in the playoffs, Julius Randle didn't play. They go out and get Mikal Bridges, so they have to at least confirm that it doesn't work. I guess you can make the argument that the Pelicans haven't played with DeJounte Murray yet, but that thing was already cooked. Yeah. At least with Julius Randle, some weird stuff has happened in the team store, and that can be fixed, right? I don't know that the Brandon Ingram thing can be fixed. But ultimately, a lot of these guys, Chris, and 2 years left on Julius Randle's deal, a lot of these guys, their life is going to come at them fast because you have a Julius Randle who right now, I don't know if the Knicks have been making calls, but I would guess that they have been. So if you're still on the Knicks, that means it's been pretty hard to move you, Julius. And then at the end of your contract, who knows what he's going to make with this, the second apron and things like that. So guys like Julius Randle who think they are probably a bit, and Brandon Ingram for that standpoint, who maybe think they're worth a bit more than they are, life is going to hit them where it hurts fairly quickly. But yeah, I'm definitely intrigued. I mean, look, this is, and I would say this to bring it back to what Patrick Beverley said, this is all a part, in my opinion, Chris, this is what happens when you get somebody like DeMar DeRozan. You get somebody that brings Sac to the forefront so that they're even being thought of. Yeah, if you had to say, because
it's so random, right?
So
He's
random.
Just like, why are you thinking about the Kings
DeMar
at all?
DeRozan has been on TV all day, all yesterday. He, we know the Kendrick Lamar connections, things like that. You could say that last season, or before DeMar DeRozan signs, Patrick Beverley could be doing that same podcast. They would have less offensive firepower because they wouldn't have DeMar DeRozan, and Patrick Beverley would not say Sacramento.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's going to be probably the coolest thing about getting DeMar DeRozan, bringing in that just NBA Twitter, NBA world that Sacramento has kind of just not been a part of, and now they are being associated, and they haven't even played a game together yet. But people are saying, hey, DeMar DeRozan just started cooking. You know what I mean? And he's doing it with Sacramento. And Sacramento, they're building something there. They're a team that we need to pay attention to.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything you said and more. I mean, I definitely think exactly what you said, that, you put DeMar on this team and it just opens the world of possibilities. Like if you throw, to use your example, you make that same statement at this point last year. It's like, well, Julius Randle, like he's not, what is he doing for the Kings? Yeah. Okay, you throw Julius Randle with Sabonis and Fox. Okay, maybe again they're a little bit better. I still think they would have questions of can they make it out of the first round.
Right.
But now you have DeMar DeRozan, and you can consider a Julius Randle and say, wow, that could be a guy. You add that kind of talent, forget the fit. maybe that is just the most talented team out there, and that just makes a lot more sense. Like you said, they just weren't considered in those kind of conversations before. It is going to be fun to see them just even brought up in the possibility of, hey, this guy is upset with his situation. Does Sacramento make sense for him? Where does that put Sacramento? Does that actually turn the conversation on them? It would have been really tough to find a player that turns the conversation for Sacramento if we're at this point last season. Now with DeRozan, with Fox, with Monk, with Sabonis, with Keegan Murray, young and rising up, I think there's a lot of reason to believe if you pluck and play any, that's why, the Cam Johnsons, the Kyle Kuzmas of the world are now even more intriguing, because it feels like you throw those guys onto this roster and it could be that piece that is the thing that puts the whole puzzle together.
Yeah, and someone here, family on the Sac chat, Fox, DeRozan, Murray, Randle, Sabonis. That would be the starting five in this
great
hypothetical world. The bottom line is, it doesn't matter if Julius Randle stays with the Knicks or if he's on another team. Someone's going to need to have a conversation with him about know your role and know your rank. That's ultimately what's going to happen, but we do not think it's going to happen in Sacramento. Coming up next, we have a very interesting George Kittle stat. I know Nate will be excited about this, even with all of his blocking. How will George Kittle be remembered? Stiles and Watkins, Sactown Sports.
You never know what